Our final presenter is Tamara Das. Tamara is the founder and principal consultant of Civic Core Solutions, LLC, which focuses on strengthening crisis communications, emergency planning, and community preparedness. Tamara's presentation is No Warning, No Way Out, Fixing the Gaps in Disaster Preparedness.
Good morning. Have you ever had a conversation with someone and the words they shared with you sounded so simple, but yet so powerful that you knew that conversation would stay with you forever? Well, that's what happened to me. After a tornado hit a small rural town in Tuscaloosa County, Alabama. And while I'm out helping with damage assessments, I meet the sweetest elderly woman, Miss Gilmore. Does anybody remember the movie Driving Miss Daisy with Morgan Freeman and Jessica Tandy? Well, Miss Gilmore looked and sounded exactly like Jessica Tandy's character, Miss Daisy. The resemblance was uncanny. So I go up to her, I introduce myself, tell her I'm with my local EMA, I'm here to do damage assessments, and while I'm talking, she is just staring at her damaged manufactured home. She has barely acknowledged my presence. So after about 10 seconds, which felt like 10 minutes, she finally turns to me and she says, "I didn't know it was coming." Her voice was steady, no tears, no panic. She just had this blank look on her face. She was in shock because everything that she had worked for was now gone. But it was her words, "I didn't know it was coming," that have stayed with me to this day. She then tells me that she hadn't been able to watch the news because they turned her power off. She was late on making her payments. And then she says that she didn't have one of those, quote, fancy phones where you could download the weather apps to get the weather alerts. And honestly, it really wouldn't have mattered because where she lived, there was no cell phone coverage. And then she says that she did not have access to a working weather radio. In that moment is when it hit me. For so many people like Miss Gilmore, preparedness is a privilege. We tell our people to turn on the news, download the app, get to safety. But what happens when the news isn't in their language? Download the app needs Wi-Fi that they don't have, and get to safety requires a car they can't afford. And that's why I've dedicated my career to one mission: preparedness that works for all. During my time as deputy director at my local EMA, we worked hard to break down those barriers. I told my team to start utilizing Google Translate to translate our weather alerts, especially on social media, in both Spanish as well as German. Spanish because of the large Spanish-speaking community that we have in our area, and German because Tuscaloosa County is home to a Mercedes-Benz manufacturing plant, which hires a lot of German nationals. We partnered with local leaders who had already established trust and had a working relationship with members in our community. After meeting with Ms. Gilmore, I made it my mission to make sure people just didn't get the message, that they understood it, they trusted it, and had a means to act on it. And that's very important because if people don't trust the voice that warns them, they're less likely to listen. And if they can hear the warning but can't act, to them that isn't preparedness, it's just noise. And if we want people to hear our message of preparedness, trust, and safety, we must first learn how to hear them. And that is why I created the acronym HEAR. It is a simple and practical way to ensure that equity is included in our emergency planning from the very beginning. Equity is not just a box that you check. It is the heartbeat of a system where it works for everyone. H, humanize the process. Focus on real people and not just policies. After Hurricane Katrina, New Orleans officials improved their evacuation planning by bringing more people to the table, giving people more of a voice, especially those who could speak for their vulnerable populations in the area. E, engage locally. Work alongside trusted community voices who could help you and your agency make a difference. In Chicago's Latino neighborhoods, more people received the COVID-19 vaccine because they trusted the healthcare workers who were already actively working in their neighborhoods. A, assess barriers. Identify who is excluded and why. Barriers such as mobility and disability needs, housing insecurities, language, and those who lack transportation. These barriers should be addressed directly. In Miami-Dade County, officials there created an accessible alert system which allows its residents to self-report their needs and in turn gives the officials time to close those gaps before a disaster even happens. R, reach differently. Warn in the majority of the languages that are spoken in your community, not just English. During Hurricane Harvey, Houston officials sent out alerts in Spanish, French, Mandarin, Vietnamese, and Arabic. That allowed them to reach more people, telling them where to go and how they can receive help. Preparedness must be more than words written on paper. It must be personal, practical, and inclusive. And when we build with our communities and not just for them, when we humanize the process, engage locally with trusted community voices, assess and break down real barriers, and communicate in ways that truly reach people, then we're doing more than building plans. We're building trust. We're building connections, and our favorite word, resiliency. So before I take my seat, I want to leave you with this. As emergency managers, let's lead with heart, plan with purpose, and ensure that preparedness is something that everyone can hear, trust, and act on. It is time for us to be the champions of change that our communities have been waiting for. Again, my name is Tamara with Civic Corps Solutions. Thank you for your time.